Hello to Nobley's Memory Hour. Today we are honoring someone that was close to me that also perished during 9/11. Her name was Nicole. I met Nicole around my 8th grade year, moving back from South Jersey to North Jersey. We went to Washington School, and I just found out that I got a female pregnant, and my buddy was dating her best friend. And we ended up spending the night, and it was day of yearbooks. And we got to talking all night while my buddy was in there with his girlfriend and her best friend. And I got to know who she really was that night. And she was a sweet soul. She cared. And she just worried about people. She just wanted to take care of everyone she ever met. So, I kind of opened up to her a little bit. Told her my problems that I didn't tell no one else I was going through. Even kept it for my family. I was 13 at the time. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was out getting drunk and being stupid in the city. That's stories for another time. So, I ended up passing out on the couch. And I woke up in the morning with the yearbook on my chest. I was like, man, was I that messed up that I fell asleep looking at the yearbook that I know no one in? Anyway, so I opened it up, and right there, the only person that signed it that year was Nicole, saying, you're truly a special, nice person. Glad to have met you. And she signed her name with a little heart. Now, I would tell you her last name, but I don't know how her family feels about things like this being said. So I'll leave that up for her family to decide another time. So we became really good friends. Got some stories. I got some crazy stories. So fast forward to 2001 when the World Trade Center came down. I knew I got locked up in 2001 in Illinois. So I was locked up in Pittsfield Correctional Center. And I was actually at a fire station when the buildings came down on a road crew. And earlier, before they came out, I was talking to the chief. I was over there talking to the chief, and at that point in time in my life, I had a thick East Coast accent, so he was giving me hell. He'd say, hey, Mama Luke, hey, Jersey, come here, Jersey, all types of stuff like that. So as I was waxing the fire truck, he dipped off in the back somewhere. And then he came out and he went, hey, Jersey. I was like, what? He said, you said you live real close to New York, didn't you? I said, yeah, about 5 minutes. I mean, I could see the Statue of Liberty from a fire escape. He said, man, they just knocked down the trade centers. I was like, get the fuck out of here. Excuse my language. But that's exactly what I said out there. I thought he was just joking with me, messing around, playing around. He said, no, come on. And he took me in the back and showed me what was going on the news. And right then, I was in shock. I didn't know what to say. I thought this was a practical joke. I don't even know what to think, man. I was just in shock. A Roku guy came in, officer, what do you want to call him, getting all mad because they just called in for a lockdown. He didn't know where I was at. The firefighter's like, man, come on, man, this is personal to him, right? Anyway, so we get into the van, and on the way back to from Bluffs to Pittsfield, he pulls over because they was on the radio, and he was listening. And like I said, I was in shock. Some of the other people on the road crew, they were making jokes and stuff, and I was just laughing. And he got all mad, rightfully so, man. No one knew what was really going on at the time. So, the thing about that is, I was in shock because I just found out Nicole just got a job not too long ago in the World Trade Center, And I was locked up. I got it through a kite about 2 months earlier. I don't know how long she'd been working there. I was already locked up about, what, 6 or 7 months at that time. You know, I only kept in touch with my mom and my sister, really. Got some words through other ways every once in a while. But my mom, she would have done anything, but if she can't reach out and touch someone on the telephone, she, forget about it. And my sister, she was caught up in her own life at that time. I ain't mad at her for that. So, fast forward to 2004, right? I still didn't know what happened to Nicole, right? So I get out. I reached out to the East Coast, but man, it takes some time sometimes, especially as far gone as I was. So I started watching a documentary on the 9/11 right in 2004, and at the end of the documentary, it had everybody's names. So I was like, I'm gonna read every single one because I know some firefighters that I seen. I didn't know them. I met them, but they ended up, perishing. But those are stories for another time. And like I said, I didn't know them too personally. Even though I met them, they were still close due to that. So as I was reading all these things, I came across Nicole's name. Man, right then and there, I just started crying. I rewinded it about 5 times. I couldn't believe my eyes. I just started crying. And I couldn't believe it. Started thinking about the time we were in Wildwood. I was so drunk. I tried to dive in the shallow end. And she just grabbed me. She was like, shallow. Do you not understand English? Shallow. I was like, huh? Oh. I was gone, man. I was gone. But yeah, I just remember that time and I just started crying like a little baby, man. So finally I reached out, and remember, I'm an 80s kid. A lot of broken homes through wars, governments locking people up, broken family syndrome, all types of stuff. You know how the 80s and 90s was. It was almost a single parent era. So we made our own family. So sometimes when I talk about family, it may not be blood family, but family. So I reached out to our family about what was going on. And found out that there was a lot of people that were called off, that was next to the government and all that other stuff. And people wanted to know what was going on. So family members and stuff, they started doing their own stuff. And we're not into conspiracy theory, even though they're very entertaining. I don't believe mainstream media either. They were taken over by the CIA back in Eisenhower days. He tried to warn us about a lot of things, but no one wanted to listen. That's because they covered it up with the alien thing, but that's a whole other story. So, here goes the story about 9/11. The whole conspiracy thing about it being an inside job. It was never an inside job. Now, my father, he was a scaffolder at the time when the trade centers went off in the East Coast. The guys that do the windshield wipers, and put the scaffolding around buildings. So he was contracted to put the lift up for the windshield wiper. For the windshield wiper. I might as well say windshield wipers. That's what they used to call them, but the windshield washers. Okay? The window washers, whatever you want to call them. And it was common knowledge after the fire in, I think, 72, 73, right before the World Trade Center was almost all the way done, or shortly after when it was done, but hasn't been open to public. There was a fire. So they were worried about it spreading to all the big high-rises down in Manhattan. So they had the little town meeting about whatever they could do if it was a fire that was out of control. And thanks to the Army engineers, they had that new C4. So they rigged a lot of tall buildings in the area that already collapsed because the fires were unbearable, so they didn't spread. You collapse it, you take the oxygen out, blah, 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 blah. And that's why the conspiracy about the Trade Center being collapsed. Now, fast forward to the think tank in 77, 78, where the think tank wanted to know, was speculating what is the next target for a terrorist on American soil. And they all voted over the Statue of Liberty, the World Trade Center, because that's a new monument of America. So the think tank had a bunch of ways how to take it down. The two most popular was, because everyone knew about the demolition stuff, taking it down from the basement. Okay, we'll talk about that a little more in a minute. And the other one was flying 747s into the tower, hijackers and all that other stuff. Well, a lot of people don't, you may have heard of that. What a lot of people don't tell you, the rest of the think tank was how to prevent this. Okay, so now they had the think tank and they had a lot of rich people, a lot of wealthy people, intelligent people in this think tank. And a couple of them end up being spies for foreign governments, all right? Most likely they think was one of the princes over there in Saudi Arabia, because they were making that big city at the time that we all know about now. And they wanted the information so they could safeguard their city. But somehow it got leaked to terrorists. However, who knows? Anyone could have found out. There's 138 countries. There's 138 spies at any given time in any branch. So that's just reality, you know. So now fast forward to 84. In 84, the Army engineers came up with a newer C4 that only could be exploded through a specific type of electrical. Not any electrical, it had to be a specific type of current for it to ignite the C4. So they refitted a lot of these buildings, especially the World Trade Center, since, like I said, it's a monument at the time. So this was the secret no one knew. Fast forward to 92, when bin Laden tried to take down the World Trade Center, and he made all them videos, blah, 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 talking about taking them down, even though they didn't fall down, okay? That was the reason he went for the basement, because from the 77 think tanks, okay? Here's where the conspiracy comes in a little more. The government been expecting an attack on the World Trade Center ever since they know them papers were missing, since like 79, 80, when Carter or Nixon, they're not sure if it was Nixon or Carter or whatever. It was around that era when they realized it was missing, and they've been expecting an attack ever since. Okay, fast forward. All right, fast forward to Clinton bombing Kuwait for 24 straight hours. Now, I want to say this. When the government releases a so-called classified operation through a president talking about it was a success, that's a 10-year-old mission. That happened a couple presidents ago, the last president, so on and so on, okay? In 96, or maybe it was 97, I think it was 96 when Bill Clinton was bombing Kuwait. While the whole world was watching him bomb Kuwait, they sent a SEAL team to take out bin Laden. That's why you seen his tapes up to 98, 99, and they always look like VHSs and old. And that's why if you fast forward to when they found his, hard drive, and had him talk about taking the buildings down, because he thought he took the buildings down in 92. So after they take him out, they make up ISIS to try to get inside bin Laden's clique to try to take it out from within. This is public knowledge now. We all know America created ISIS. Of course, they ran Vogue, whatever. Conspiracy things say they're still working. No, they just took advantage and ran with it. You always got to meet somewhere in the middle of mainstream and conspiracy theory. Okay, so now fast forward to Obama, when he supposedly took out bin Laden and they threw him overseas and killed him in interrogation, and have no pictures of this and no records classified or declassified about this, okay? That's because it happened in 96. What they did with the Obama at that point in time, we won't know for shoot if we'll ever know. Let's just put it that way. So now, who took down the World Trade Center? Was it an inside job? No. But the problem is the government took advantage of it. They let it happen. They didn't prevent it when they could. Now, this is why there's a lot of conspiracy around it. Go back to Joe Biden and the super predator mandate that he called, where drug dealers of a certain color or certain gang affiliated gets 3 times more than a normal person, okay? That's the way it's written, okay? I know people color it racist and all that stuff, but it was actually going against the gangbangers and organized crime mates, okay? Those were the super predators he was actually talking about. Not saying he ain't racist and all that other good junk. Who the hell knows? Who the hell cares? All right. So fast forward to, I think, 4 or 5 months before 9/11, people were asking about where's all this money that was missing. Okay. This was all the funding it took to get everyone labeled under the drug game and cartels and mafias and gangs as terrorists so they could pass the Patriot Act, because they knew sooner or later someone was going to try to take the World Trade Center again. The Patriot Act started being fomented back in 92, three years after the Super Predator mandate, so on and so on. This is why everyone thinks it's an inside job. No, it was just them taking advantage and not preventing it. Potato, okay? So now you got the Patriot Act. See, the reason this is so near and dear is because Nicole just started her life, got her dream job, and I know who she was. She was probably at work early trying to impress everybody, trying to take care of whatever she could feel she could take care of. And I guarantee she could have got out, but she was in there helping everyone. I guarantee it. I guarantee she was helping older people that just, asthmatic, anything you could think of. She was making sure she was one of them people. I guarantee it. And this is why it's so near, dear in my heart, and I seriously, deeply looked into it. Now, you don't have to believe me. I preach, look up yourself, come to your own conclusions, and then you'll know the truth. But the truth is somewhere in the middle of what everyone is telling you. It's your job to take the truth out of everyone's lie, because you can't tell a lie without a little bit of the truth. So this has been Knobbly with Memory Hour saying, bless Nicole, I shall never forget. And I'm sorry I couldn't protect you. God bless.